Well, continuing with our Class 4A and 3A regional preview, and Steve Lynch from Brownsburg joining me now. And Steve, kind of one of the biggest stories last week was Brownsburg's run to the sectional title. Knocked off Avon on the first night, 44-40. Avon, as you know, great season, 20-win team. Then beat Plainfield in a knockdown drag out in the semifinal, and then take down Ben Davis in two overtimes in the championship game. But how did this team kind of come together, Steve? Did you maybe foresee this happening late in the season, or how did this kind of come about for you guys?
I thought we had a nice summer last year. We played some pretty good basketball, and as the season started, and again, we're super happy to celebrate any state championships, but a couple of the football guys came in late, maybe injured. We had another injury. We had a very unfortunate situation where we had a player lose a family member, and just didn't get off to a great start. And I think probably more than anything, I just would commend our kids and parents that we were very resilient, starting 1-5 and maybe not playing great. And we went through everything, like trying to reteach and show and allow for mistakes. And our schedule's not very forgiving. And the kids just really stayed the course. And thought mid-January it was starting to kind of feel better, and all the things that happened. The kids are like, "You're not yelling at us, don't give up on us." And I'm like, "No, I'm not, but we got to teach." And it's hard to yell at you until I feel like you've learned it. And I think we've been 8-3 since kind of the end of January, and I think it was coming together. You could feel their confidence growing, and that confidence thing. It's hard to instill. It's got to be kind of self-born, and I think they have a collective confidence that's really grown as a unit. It's been really fun to watch.
Had a couple of guys make the HCC team. Josiah Sloss, Brandon Addison, Sloss a senior, of course, and Addison a junior. But it is, when you look at your your overall production, kind of comes from everywhere. But just speak a little. I know Josiah's had a really good year, especially. I think had some of his better games late in the season. But just what has he meant for you guys? Kind of gives you a guy who can do some of everything. He's a guy who can shoot it, but also can score inside, and really when he's attacking is a tough player to handle.
I think for all of them, the how can I contribute has really been awesome. I thought Josiah really rebounded at a high level. He played very well against Avon, did not score against Plainfield, and boy, couldn't have told you I thought he played a really good basketball game, and then came back against Ben Davis and scores 14 points. But it's been everybody, all hands on deck. Brandon Sharp gets 8 steals at Noblesville, and then Josiah hits a game-winning 3. But the contributions have been unbelievable. I think you have to be proud dad with Kyson coming in Friday and hitting a shot, and then Saturday, maybe besides the state championship shot, one of the biggest shots in Brownsburg history, and not always getting to play, but having just the fortitude and the support and the self-confidence to come in a tough situation. And I think the kind of the pick me up from each and every player to others has been really, really good. I think we have good guard play from Brandon Addison and Brandon Sharp, but then, we're playing through Devon Craig a little bit more. And again, I don't think anybody's made as big of an improvement this season as Chris Brandon. We had to take him out of the lineup kind of mid-year, and then is borderline a double-figure rebounding guy here late. So it's been a lot of guys seeing a lot of improvement. It's been a lot of fun.
And of course, Mike hitting the 3-pointer at the end there in the second overtime, a huge shot too. So it has been kind of everyone on deck to help out. But you play a lot of different type of teams last week in the sectional. Now you've got an even different team, I would say, in Mount Vernon with and I had a chance to see them play Saturday. And kind of interesting thing too is you're playing against your old school that you coached for many years. So I'm sure that's something that's come to mind right when you see that come up in the draw. But first of all, just what's that like seeing them come up on the bracket this week?
Just really, really happy for them and the people in that community and some of those, not a lot, but some of those kids were kids that ran around the old neighborhood and stuff like that. And, I think our kids, learning that it's more water, not more water, and stuff like that. But just some real good feelings about that community and the experiences we had there. And then, they play just about everybody in our conference. So, watching, having film and watching film, and usually I'm watching our conference, but then to dial in on them, man, what a really neat basketball team, and coach has done a tremendous job. And there's some real cohesion there and some real team effort when you win 20 games.
Yeah, just see them play against Greenfield on Saturday at Muncie Fieldhouse, and you couldn't have been. You talk about your team, obviously was very resilient. Mount Vernon has that knack too, and certainly Luke Hurdle leads that charge. But kind of like your team, they have a lot of different guys who can step up, and you may not know in a given night who that's going to be. Do you see? Maybe not a similarity with Ertl, but do you see some similarities with your team compared to theirs?
A lot of the same pieces. They got guys that kind of like maybe the overused but super appreciated. Some guys that just hold them together, glue guys, and they have good size. They got a couple 6'6" kids, and some guys that can shoot, and some guys that just play their role to the max. And I think when you start looking at why teams win, the acceptance of a role, a willingness to do whatever it takes. They put their bodies out there. They play real hard. They take charges. They play with a good physicality. They don't beat themselves. All the stuff that like when you start dissecting a team, it's funny. We got a couple coaches we watch, so we watch them based on what we see, and then we look at the stats. And we got a couple coaches that crunch stats, and man, the numbers back up what you see. They play real hard. They play real hard together. They don't hurt themselves. They're real fundamental. So it'll be a big challenge for us.
And of course, Ertl had 36 on Saturday, and Mullins had 38. I mean, it was a great duel between not only those two, but those communities and those teams that know each other so well, as you know, playing in that conference for years. And what a great year Greenfield had as well. But Steve, how do you kind of, you go from the week of, you're playing, getting ready every day and probably not even able to scout Ben Davis a whole lot just because you turn around and play him right away. But how do you, what's this week like for you guys? And, just lastly, how do you kind of get prepared again to, to play a big game on Saturday after going through that such a hectic week?
I think getting bodies back. I mean, 3 games is a lot. We're enjoying the ice tub, or some of them are. Some of them don't like that cold water, but getting them back physically, mentally ready to compete. And I thought we had a decent practice yesterday, and went to Southport on Tuesday. And so getting them dialed in, I think sometimes fine line of what we know as coaches and what we want to share. We don't want to overload the guys, but we want to give them enough information to be prepared. But at the same time, I still think when you look at the two teams, like, don't turn it over, don't have empty possessions, don't give up easy opportunities, and better get every rebound you can put your hands on. I think that'll be probably bigger key than what set they're running and things like that.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks so much for doing this, Steve, and we'll see you on Saturday at Southport at 1 p.m. Should be a great atmosphere and a great game.
Certainly appreciate it, Kyle. Thanks again.
You bet.
All right, our next guest here is Chris Hawkins from Crispus Attucks, and Attucks came through in a difficult sectional, beat number 1 Cathedral at Short Ridge in the semifinal, and then took out the host Short Ridge in the championship game. Chris, just the ability to come through Cathedral again after losing to him in the city. I know that was a game a lot of people were talking about. Shoot, looks like we lost him. Oh, there he is. But just how'd you guys get ready for that game, and tell us a little bit about how that game went?
Our guys were, it's a game you want. You circle it on your calendar. when the sectional came out, sectional alignment. And so you knew you had to play them. We also got to play them in the city. So we didn't play too well, 22 turnovers in that first game. So we were able to, in that next game, not turn it over as much. We did have a bad quarter in the third quarter where just, didn't make shots. Had open looks, but just didn't make shots. So you get down 11, and, it's just like, hey, we break it down brick by brick, possession by possession. And, Briscoe just had a never say die attitude. It was one of the games for stayed out of foul trouble. But he made his shots, got to the free throw line. And then I think Shea Brownlow and Caden English, Chris Hurt, AJ Jones, they just came in. We played solid defense, was able to turn them over, and was able to get that win. So that was just a super big confidence booster. Um, and so, our guys just, they were really looking forward to that rematch. It's just something that they had circled on their calendar. So we're excited to get that. And, the next night is always the hardest when you're trying to close out or win a sectional. And I think, Short Ridge played exceptionally well in that first half. We were only up 7. Third quarter, we came out. We were able to push it to like 15, 20 and kind of kept it around there for the rest of the game. So just excited that our guys stayed the course with the Cathedral game and didn't panic and try to just, get it all back in one. We just played solid defense, trusted each other. And then I believe our fans really made a difference at Short Ridge. And we may have had some other fans from other schools and some Short Ridge fans that kind of pushed us on. But, I love my group, man. I wouldn't trade them for anything. Sometimes they get a little hectic, but I love my group of kids. I love my seniors and I love my staff. And, we were glad to, get back in 3A where we probably should be at anyway.
It's pretty rare a team has 2 city players of the year over a 3-year period, but you get Dez, who's got 2 of them, and now Chris Hurt's got 1 of them. But it seems like Dez likes those types of big games, or he seems to show up in those. Just getting him healthy and back to where he can be. How important is that for you guys?
No, I think it's big. I think a lot of it had to do with when we played him first. That may have been second or third game coming back, so doesn't have his stamina, conditioning down to where we needed to be. So it was always a work in progress with him, just trying to figure out how to get him back into the offense. Because we played a different way at the start and at the middle of the season to now bringing him back. And I really think that Cathedral game, we just understood that the kids would pick and choose their spots. But when we needed a bucket, we went to him, and every time we went to him, he delivered. And like I said, same thing against Short Ridge. So I think now, he understands, when he needs a bucket, he'll go to him, hey, get it to me. And then the other thing is, man, he's the best passing big in the state. So if teams want to double, he'll find an open person. But if they give him single coverage, he'll make them pay for single coverage. So we're glad that he's 100% now. Just like I said, it's just we'll adjust to whatever game plan a team tries to throw at us.
Well, again, I'm talking to Chris Hawkins here from Attucks. Attucks plays in Class 3A regional against Northview on Saturday, and that game is at Lebanon at 4 p.m. Chris, what do you see initially out of Northview? I'm sure you've had a chance now. We're a few days into the week, a chance to look at what they've got. What do you see out of that team? They're 24-2, obviously, for a reason.
Oh yeah, man! Spread the floor. They want to get downhill, drive, and kick. They run unlimited sets. So I believe as soon as we, were able to get home and kids were at home, I think I had maybe 3 to 4 games already on them. So we're going to have to, we can't let them get in the paint. Number 21 is their key guy. I think he averages 16.3 points per game. Can go left or right, pull up, floater, has a variety of moves. So you really want to see how we can guard him. But then they have three other guards that really can score too. That you have to keep them out of the paint. Then they got a big fella that can pick and pop and slit. And then they have three bench players that they really play. They go 9 deep. That really come in with a grit and energy that we will have to match. They're a good team, man. The first time back in 2017, I didn't coach that game against Northview. So this would be my actual first time actually coaching against Northview in the regional. So their coach does a great job with them in the 2 years that he's been there. So, like I said, man, we spend a lot of time in the film room, just going over what they like to run, how they like to play. And like I said, it'll be a great matchup, man. They're no slouch. They've won 20 plus games for a reason. So we just, like I said, we're going to have to play our Crispus Attucks way. And then, like I said, you're just going to have to get some stops. And then, just keep trying to put our type of game plan together to get us the victory.
Chris, I wanted to ask you real quick too. I know you lost one of your big fans, Tracy Murphy, on Sunday. He was there Saturday, and I'm sure he was there Friday too to cheer you guys on. But one of the big cool things about Attucks is the alumni base that always seems to show up and support, especially this time of year. But kind of a sad deal, and they're going to do a balloon release. From talking to his cousin, sounds like on Saturday at 1:30 there at the high school. But pretty tough deal. I know he was a big supporter of you guys.
No, he like I said, he was at the game. Like I said, we talked right after the Cathedral win, and then also after we won the sectional. He's a great guy, man. He's always been around for our games, football games, anything that we have. Tracy was there. One of the ultimate super fans that you could have for a program. Hey, what do you need? What do you want? Especially for football games, they would always cook out and free food. Nobody turns off free food. So no, and like I said, we'll do some things for him before that game and everything like that. So it's a huge loss to the Attucks community. To the class of 1982, which he was a graduate of from Crispus Attucks. And just, everybody that knows him, man, he was infectious, had a lot of energy. And like I said, it's just unbelievable. You go from standing on at the half court and just talking with him till, you go to sleep, wake up Sunday morning, and then, he's gone. So once again, just like I said, send my condolences out to his loved ones and family, and then this game and this season, rest of this season, will be for him.
Well, Chris, I know you're busy. Appreciate you coming on here, man, and good luck Saturday.
Nope, I appreciate you and thankful for all you do for high school basketball with the coverage, and even for doing it for Indianapolis and then some of the teams that are outside the city limits too. So just want to let you know we do appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right. Well, next up we got Nate Cangany from Whiteland High School, and Nate, we were just talking here before I started recording. It has been a while for Whiteland to get through the sectional, and this has got to be for you guys probably a week where Saturday maybe bleeds into Sunday and Monday. A little bit, and rightly so, when it's been 23 years now since your program's won a sectional title. But just kind of describe, I guess, you beat a Columbus East team that was really, really hot and had beaten some good teams here lately. But just the aftermath of it, can you kind of describe, Nate, what that was like for you guys and for your program and for yourself too?
It was a special night. It was something that we've been working for a long time. We pride ourselves on, some programs will pick anybody to play on their team, and they might grab some people from other schools and put together their super teams. And we don't do that. Like if somebody would move here, like it is what it is, but we don't get a lot of those. And so we coach our guys. We build from within. We're big on skill development and team development. And to see us be able to accomplish this by doing it the right way, it was a really special night. With our guys, we tell them after every single game we want to celebrate. Like, we put in too much hard work to ever go into a game, win, and just be like, oh, that's not a big deal. Like, if you win, you accomplish that night's goal, because our goal is win the next game. And so we want to celebrate every win. I will say we didn't do a great job of celebrating Friday night's win because we were so focused on Saturday night. But Saturday, it was a great celebration, great night for our guys. They deserve it. I'm proud of them. And then for our school, 2002 was the last sectional. It's been 23 years. It was the first 4A sectional in school history. Like, you go down the list, it was a really good night. And I know there's a lot of people that have been waiting for this, and obviously we got it done. So I'm really happy for our kids, our coaches, our community, our school.
I know, Ethan Edwards has been a guy. I had a chance to talk to him earlier this year and write a story about him and his father and everything that they've accomplished there at Whiteland. But for him, I remember watching I think it was the video from the Greenwood game back when you lost on that heartbreaker in the county, and sort of his reaction was just so distraught, obviously, and frustrated. But it's got to be cool for him as a senior to experience this, and you because you've been there since the beginning of his career too, to see him accomplish this goal. I'm sure that he's had for a long time.
Yeah, there's not many people that love Whiteland more than the Edwards family, and it goes back to like what I said earlier about building it the right way. I know for a fact that Ethan had some people try to pull him away from Whiteland, which isn't the right way to do it. But you know what? They try to pull him away, and luckily Ethan is a great kid that bleeds blue and white, and he wanted to be here, and he wanted to do this. Last on Saturday it was kind of cool because there was 5.1 seconds left in the game. We were up 2, and Ethan Edwards goes to the line, and he makes his first free throw for point number 1,000, and then his second free throw, he makes it to seal the game and win the sectional for 1,001. So that was a pretty cool thing too. But it was special for him. He didn't start playing organized basketball until he was in middle school, and so for him to become the player he's become, I give him all the credit. He's been the one that's put in the countless hours. He's been the one that has been coachable and listened to what we had for him and trying to make him a more versatile player. But it's the unseen hours. If you really want to be great, it's not just when you're in practice or workouts. Like, you got to put in the time on your own to become great. And he's put in those hours. And so very proud of him and happy that he could accomplish this.
Again, talking to Nate Cangany from Whiteland High School, and you guys are 15-11. Nate, I know from obviously your schedule, you lost to Columbus East actually early in the year, and lost to some other teams that are still playing. As we go through the season here, like Guerin Catholic and New Pal, both really good teams in Class 3A. Columbus North along the way. But you mentioned before we started talking here that. Recording here that you kind of got hot there at the end of the year. And in February, you reeled off a few wins in a row, leading into the sectional even. And now I believe a 7-game winning streak as you get it ready for Terre Haute North this weekend. But was there anything that changed, Nate, or maybe anything you can put your thumb on as far as maybe a change, or had this always kind of been there for you guys, do you think?
So this summer, we actually lost one of what would have been one of our best players for the season. He tore his ACL. His name is Dane Coons. He's a junior for us. And through the summer, we knew that he was going to be really good for us. The injury happened, and it put the spotlight on some sophomores. They were going to have to step up and kind of step into a role that Dane was obviously going to fill really well for us this year. And so I think early in the season, we were kind of a man or two short from what it was going to take to be a great 4A team in Central Indiana. And we were kind of waiting on some of those sophomores to grow up. We've got 3 sophomores that have been in our rotation all year, and we even started playing a 4th sophomore here in the final stretch of the season. And so, you take some of the veteran leadership you have, like Ethan Edwards, Gavin Stubbe, Spencer Gillespie, and then you bring on some upperclassmen that had come up from JV, like Jeremiah Hurt, Haroon Mardanzai, and Peyton Williams, and then now you're asking some sophomores to really step up. And anybody who's coached or has made the jump themselves, they know how big of a difference it is from, freshman JV up to the varsity level. And so we had some growing pains early. And, about midway through the season, we were in January, and we lost 4 gut-wrenching games. Buzzer beater, overtime loss. We won a conference road game, turned around and lost by 1 at home after being up late in the game. And at that point, it was kind of like, a lot of kids would have quit. A lot of teams wouldn't have been able to face that adversity. And so it was right then, though. We got to work. We understood what we had to do. We got to learn how to finish games. And our sophomores really started to step up. And so when our sophomores stepped up, it gave us more guys. You can't just focus on Ethan Edwards and Gavin Stube anymore. There's other guys that can score. There's other guys that can defend. And it's been really good. And I'm happy for our sophomores too, to be able to step up and provide some really big minutes for us. But I feel like we have a total team now where early in the season we had there's a 2-headed monster, a couple of other upperclassmen, and then a lot of young guys.
Well, and that, as you know, can help feed on itself. You get those sophomores that experience, and now they know what it's like to win a sectional title, and that can only help in the future. You wanted to ask you a little bit about this regional matchup against Terre Haute North. Obviously, they're a team through the years that is used to playing into the tournament or later into the tournament, and again, a 20-5 team. Always well coached, it seems like, and will be a tough assignment for you guys. What do you see out of this group as you prepare for Saturday's game, Nate?
Like you said, they're extremely well coached. He does a great job. Todd does a great job. He's always done a great job. And this will be my first time ever coaching against him in a regular season or tournament game. We've played against him in the summer a couple of times, and he's always been great there. But we're looking forward to the challenge. They've got a lot of length on their team. They're going to have the size advantage, but I think that we have some quickness and physicality on the defensive end that can maybe pose some challenges for them. I think offensively, in our 7-game winning streak, we've been averaging 68 points a game, but they give up low 50s. We don't expect to get up to that 68 mark, but we've got to be efficient with our possessions. A big stat that we track is points per possession. So, the efficiency of our offense is going to be a key for us on Saturday. And to simplify, we got to get great shots, not turn the ball over, make sure we're executing our stuff. But defensively, it's going to be, their size inside we've got to deal with, but they've also got some guys that can stroke the ball from outside, shoot the 3 well. And so we're going to have to make sure we defend that as well.
And again, as we started talking, you were talking about the team kind of turning the page from winning a sectional to now preparing to try to win a regional. Do you think at what point did you get their attention back on what's coming next now on Saturday?
So we started our first practice of the week, and we just basically asked them, like, hey, are you guys satisfied? Like, you won the first sectional in 23 years, whatever. And you, as a coach, their answer is going to be, oh, coach, we want to win the regional too. But to me, it was more about body language and how they answered it, not what their answer was. It was how they did it. And we've got great senior leaders. There's a reason why we were able to get through that stretch in January with the gut-wrenching losses. We got through that stretch because we had great leadership, guys that are competitors, guys that are going to do whatever it takes, win the next game. That's the goal. And just seeing their body language when I asked them, it was almost like, coach, yeah, we're going to go compete. Like, we haven't at Whiteland, we haven't won a regional in 81 years.
Wow.
That's a long time. And so, you know what, it's like Saturday was great, but that's in the past. We can celebrate that later. We've got 32 minutes to a potential regional championship. And again, we know Terre Haute North is really good. They've won 20 games this year. So we're not overlooking them, and we're not expecting anything other than we're going to expect to go compete, play the way that we play, and let the chips fall where they may.
Well, awesome. Well, Nate, I appreciate you doing this. I know it's a busy week for you and a lot going on, but it was cool to see you guys. Not that you ever root for anybody necessarily, but cool to see you guys able to get this done. And I know it means a lot to you and your community and your school there. And I'm sure those seniors too, Ethan especially. So congratulations on that, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.
All right, continuing our regional preview coverage with Julius Gizzi. Julius from New Pal, senior. And I'll start with this. How does it feel to be the leading scorer in the family now?
It's a great feeling. Had a ton of battles with Maximus and Isabella since we were super young, so it's definitely a great feeling.
I should say he passed Isabella was the last one he had to hurdle there, but leading scorer over Maximus and the family on the boys' side, and Isabella now she will be the girls' record holder, but you're the overall scoring leader. But Julius, as you get ready for this, this regional game against Guerin Catholic. I wanted to kind of go backwards just a little bit. You had a pretty tough sectional there. You had Ron Colley in the championship game, and it looked like Beech Grove gave you guys a pretty good game in the semifinal. But how did you guys feel like you played overall there at Shelbyville?
Overall, I think we played pretty well. We started off really slow against Beech Grove. Kind of had to gut one out there against a pretty good team, and then Ron Colley, we played them before earlier in the year, and we kind of just had to focus on coming out better in the first quarter, first half, and then after we got rolling, we didn't stop.
After you go through the last 2 years winning back-to-back 4A sectional titles, what is there much different? You knew going into the season you'd be a 3A team, but is there much difference with that class change, or how did you guys kind of approach that or look at that?
I wouldn't say there was a big change going down from 4A to 3A. We knew we wouldn't have to play the 4A powerhouses if we got out of our sectional, but 3A is loaded, and we have to play some really good teams down the line here if we can win against Guerin.
And I was going to say, I mean, 3A is, you look at the kind of the landscape of the class, and I mean, it is not only you guys moving down to 4A, but Cathedral, they were ranked number 1 and lost to Crispus Attucks and their sectional. Attucks, of course, a top 10 team. But there are so many good teams that are still alive in that class. It's a really kind of a unique situation where you got a lot of these 4A teams, and then teams like you played with Ron Colley, and you go on down the line. It's just East Chicago Central up north. There's just a lot of really quality teams. Obviously, Brownstown Central moving up as well to 3A. So it's not going to be easy. South Bend St. Joe, of course, up north as well. But on your team specifically, you look at what you had coming back this year, and you played a really tough schedule going into the season to kind of get you ready for this. But just overall, how looking at your roster and the guys you had coming back, what were kind of the expectations for you guys coming into this season?
I would say expectations were really high, honestly. After last year, I think as a team we played really well. We lost to a tough Ben Davis team, but going into it with Mose and Ben and Austin and Keegan coming along, and then you add Will into that mix a little bit with Dara. I think we had big expectations. Mose is playing better this year. Ben's playing a little bit better. Mose is scoring a little bit more. Honestly, I think other than just a couple of slow starts, I think we've been really good all year.
And one of those early on in the Greenfield Central game, you guys got off to kind of a slow start in that one. How did that game, I'm sure that was disappointing, but how did that help you guys maybe moving forward coming out of that game?
Yeah, definitely. That Greenfield loss was tough. They're a really good team. But next day at Southport against Zionsville, we bounced back and had a really good win. So honestly, I think that helped us out a lot.
And as you go through this year, it seemed like you guys got stronger there as the year went along. A big win, which I was at the Lawrence North game, and we're seeing how good that Lawrence North team comes through sectional 10 with 3 really strong wins last week. That's a game that, and you've played pretty well against them personally the last couple of years, but what does that maybe show about you? Because not a lot of teams can match up physically with that Lawrence North team.
Yeah. We love big games. We love big matchups, packed crowds. I think we play better in those games. And they have 2 huge kids down low, and we kind of sat back in a zone and made sure we had an emphasis on boxing out and backside help, and we played really well.
And then later in the season there, and I ask you about this because this is your upcoming opponent, but you played Guerin Catholic just about a month ago, and won that game by 15 points. Our our video guy Clark Wade was out there for that game. But tell me a little bit about how that game went, and I'm sure the game plan for Guerin will change slightly for Saturday. But how'd you kind of go about winning that one?
Yeah, we knew going into that game that Guerin was really well coached and they're a really good team. And our first quarter was awful, like probably the worst all year. And then we sat down after the first quarter and kind of had to regroup, and then things started clicking a little bit, and we did a really good job helping backside on Bryson Cardinal, and then really just played together and trust each other and came out on top by about 15.
Have you gone up against Bryson much over the years, or seen him much along the way?
Yeah, we've played a couple times in AAU.
How do you kind of assess his game, or what he does well?
Yeah, I mean, he's a really good player. Inside game's really good, and he can shoot the three a little bit. You kind of got to pick your poison with him a little bit, and we want him to shoot threes because inside it's tough to stop him.
And they've got some other guys that have come along this season too that I think maybe have become a better team than a lot of people realized coming into the year. So Guerin Catholic, again, they're 23-4 coming into this game. Came out of a tough Frankfurt sectional. Probably won a couple of those games by more than you would expect going into it. But New Pal 24-3 on the season. And you touched on some of your teammates there, Julius, but and I've talked to you guys about this a little bit before, but Moses Haynes, obviously, your cousin and close friend and point guard, and a guy you have to get along with because he is the point guard. He decides sometimes where the ball goes, and I'm sure that's. But in honest, it seems like you guys have a real good connection, obviously. But how nice is that to have a guy that you played with for so long and know so well, as a teammate with you?
Yeah, definitely. Me and Moses have been playing together since, I want to say, before kindergarten. So we trust each other, and we're really good friends off the court. We have a really good connection. So that definitely helps us on the court, and we just play really well together.
And he just committed to IU Kokomo, so pretty good option for him. And
definitely,
you're connected to Indiana Wesleyan moving forward. But take us through the recruiting process. I know it's obviously things have changed a lot with the portal and the COVID year and everything. But how did your recruitment kind of go along, and what did you like about your ultimate commitment there?
Yeah, definitely. I got some really good NAI offers in the Crossroads League. I got one late last year during the school season, and then got a lot of them in the summer during AAU ball. And I was kind of waiting for lower level mid-major Division I's, and then I got the Indiana Wesleyan offer, and then went on an overnight visit. And my connection with the coaching staff and the team is it's hard to pass up on a school like that.
What being around the program there, and I had a chance a few years ago to kind of go up and hang out with those guys for a day. And Kyle Mangus was actually a senior at that time, and just tearing it up. He might have been a junior, but whatever the case, he was tearing it up. But what was kind of your takeaway, I guess, from being around them, and what made you want to commit to them?
Yeah. My first overnight visit was when they were hosting the national tournament first two rounds, and the environment was crazy. And then they came to a ton of my games, called me on the phone, texted me, made me feel wanted. In Indiana Wesleyan, they always win, and that's a massive factor for me.
Well, that's great. And then looking ahead, Julius, I know this is probably a team where you're never looking past, but you have to win the sectional first. You have to win the regional. But what would it mean? This everything's kind of been building towards this season for you guys with this senior class that you have, and I know it's been obviously a school that's known in a lot of other sports. Football, obviously, have had success in a lot of the softball. A lot of different things over the years. Boys basketball has never actually even won a regional before. So just what would it mean to just maybe take the next step? And do something this program has never done before.
Yeah, it'd be huge, honestly. We've won a ton of games as a team with this core group of seniors. We've broken a ton of records, and this is our third sectional in a row. And regional is kind of our next step, and we definitely want to get that. But our ultimate goal is to go to Gamebridge and win the state championship. But we definitely got to focus on regionals first.
Has there been, it doesn't appear that way because you're 24-3, but has there been some pressure this year, or have you felt some some of that at all, or is it kind of a good feeling, I guess, when you kind of know, like, hey, this is our last ride together?
I wouldn't say there's any pressure. I would just say our expectations for ourselves are higher, and probably from the community as well. But we trust what we do in practice, and we trust what we can do as a team. So,
how were your crowds at Shelbyville? What do you expect on Saturday from that standpoint?
yeah, we expect a big crowd. Honestly, 20 minutes away. Against Beast Grove and Roncalli, we had some really good crowds, and then our first game wasn't great, but you know how those Tuesday night games are.
Yeah, the weather was kind of weird.
Yeah.
And you'll be playing, I should set up front, you're playing 4 p.m. at Greenfield Central. The 1 o'clock game there is a 1A game between North Decatur and Liberty Christian. But that 4 p.m. game should be a blast. And Garen Catholic 23-4 and New Pal 24-3. That should be a great, one of the best games of the day, I would say, in that 3A regional. But Julius, good luck. I appreciate you popping on here and joining me, and best of luck to you on Saturday.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.
You bet. We'll talk to you.
Yep. See you.
I appreciate all my guests for coming on and joining me here. I wanted to kind of finish this up talking about some of all of the 3A and 4A games on Saturday, and give my predictions on all of them. You can find those too on indystar.com. All the predictions for the regionals. I went a little bit more in depth on the area games, Central Indiana, but made picks on all the games as we get into regional Saturday. Also put out a poll. Interesting results on that too, on the switch that was made, basically flip-flopping the semi-state and the regional. The regional now is a 1 game instead of 2, back to 2023, I believe, was the first year of that. So we're on our 3rd year of it, and the redraw at the semi-state level instead of the doing the 1 game semi-state like we used to, where you'd have the 2. You'd have probably a 1A game and a 4A game at some place, or a 2A and you might have a 3A and a 4A, something, whatever that used to be. And it does make, I've kind of want to give it some time, I think, and kind of have a longer run at it to kind of know what it looks like and feels like before I make a decision on liking it or not. I kind of lean towards liking it the older way for some reason. I guess I kind of like it does kind of drag out either way. It kind of drags out because you go a full week of games, sectional games, and everything's kind of back to back to back, and you get. I'm covering 4 games in a night, and some teams are playing 3 games in a week, or not 4 games a night, but 4 games in a week. Teams are playing 3 games in a week, and it's just kind of wall-to-wall basketball. And then you go to the next Saturday for a regional game, or now 2 games, or now 1 game now, used to be 2, and then another week to the semi-state, and then another week to the state finals. So it does kind of drag a little bit, no matter how you do it or how you cut it up. So I did think maybe you gain some momentum, going to the semi-state the way they have it now, and the draw that kind of you have a redraw on, which will be this Sunday for the semi-state, and it is kind of a different way to do it. I'm not totally against that, or feel strongly about it. I think I do kind of lean towards the old way for some reason, but maybe just because it's a long day on the semi-state Saturday. I always kind of like that feeling of walking out at Seymour, or we're at Washington or wherever, and it's kind of like daylight savings has kicked in. It's still light outside, and that was kind of the semi-state field, and you're kind of getting ready for now. It's kind of a late night on the semi-state week, but nonetheless, I think that'll be this way for a while. So at any rate, the 4A games locally, Fishers will play West Lafayette Harrison at Frankfort. That game's at 7 p.m. on Saturday. Fishers 27-0, Harrison 19-6. I don't think this will be a game like Fishers had against Noblesville or Westfield. Harrison is a good team. I think Mark Reinhardt's done a great job there at Harrison. He's been there 14 years. They have 3 seniors who lead them. I don't think this will be an easy game for Fishers, but I kind of feel like they're going to pull away. They have a week to prepare for this game, so it's not like they're going to be caught sleeping or caught off guard or anything like that. So I think the week rest will help, and they'll be focused, and I'm sure we'll play well. And I just think the defensive pressure and all the different things that the Tigers can do offensively will be a little bit too much. Harrison did knock off Lafayette Jeff and Kokomo, so 2 good wins coming out of that sectional. Their key guys, Malachi King, Ray Gibson, and Reed Smith are their 3 top players, all seniors. John Anthony Hall, really good sectional for Fishers, and of course we know their sophomores Gardner and Zachary have played well, and really all their guys, they're going to be a tough out at this point, and we've touched on it, but 40 straight wins now, so they're putting themselves into a kind of a different stratosphere at this point. The other 4A games in our area, there's 3 of them actually. 2 of them will be played at Southport. At 1 p.m. it'll be Mount Vernon and Brownsburg. Mount Vernon 20-5, Brownsburg 13-12. Mount Vernon, of course, had 2 top 5 wins last week at Muncie. They beat Anderson and beat Greenfield Central in that double overtime classic. Luke Ertl, man, he was killing it there, especially in the Greenfield game. 36, 10, and 8 on his way to a sectional title for the first time, and a good team around him. You heard from Steve Lynch at the beginning of this program, and he talked about some of the similarities and how Brownsburg has been playing. So I won't cover them again in great detail, but I think Mount Vernon is probably a slight favorite here. Oh, and I said Fishers by 14 actually in that first game. I'll say Mount Vernon by 2. I think this game could go either way. It kind of depends on how Brownsburg comes out and defends, I think, first off, and then can they be physical offensively and kind of win that battle, especially going to the basket. I feel like they've been playing well, especially attacking and being physical, playing good defense, and then they've been clutch here these last couple of games. You have to be to win the sectional that they did, and we're able to come through. So I would slightly favor Mount Vernon, I think, but I think Brownsburg can definitely win this game. I see that as kind of a toss-up at Southport in that first game. The second game, Mooresville and Lawrence North, not a toss-up, I don't think. I mean, Mooresville 14-11, and Lawrence North 20-6, and Lawrence North is that team that I think everybody knows what they're capable of doing as super physical. The question for them sometimes is shooting. Shooting from the perimeter has at times been a weakness for them. I don't think that's any secret. But Xavier Robinson, I wrote about the 2 juniors, Kai McGrew and Brennan Miller, who have really kind of stepped up their game. And along with that, I think they're trying to play more inside out. To try to relieve some of that pressure on the shooting and on Xavier Robinson. So I think this is a game. You come out of that sectional 10, such a tough sectional. They had a difficult draw. Lawrence Central, Warren Central, which had beat them once, North Central 2, the Marion County champs. So they had 3 games there that they had to win. They got through all 3 of those, and now you play a Mooresville team that's winning their first sectional title since 1998 under Gavin Groninger, the first-year coach there. And they have some good players too. Brevin Burns had some highlight plays in that sectional, and before that too. AJ DeFeer, their 3-point shooter, really good player. Tyron Elmore, really athletic player, and I like their Michael Irving, their point guard, a good player too. So they've got some talent there. But I just think overall, I think Lawrence North's just going to be too much for them, and I think they'll win. Similarly to Fishers kind of pulling away as that game goes along. The other game, that'll be 4 o'clock at Southport, by the way. And then the other game for our local teams, Terre Haute North in Whiteland, that game is down at Washington. And you heard from Nate Cangany at the beginning as well. And he talked a little bit about, their team. And then off the air, he kind of shared, after I stopped recording, he kind of shared that he's never been to the Hatchet House. So this will be the first time. He coached at Eastern Green as an assistant, and Andy Agel always told him to get to a game there, and he never did, just because once your team is out, you're kind of basketballed out a little bit, and you never get to a regional or semi-state there. So this will be his first time being there, actually. So that's pretty cool. He said he would have gone anyway because Heath Howington, the Evansville Memorial coach, is coaching in the other game there in the 3A game. So that's pretty cool as well. So two games there. And I think Whiteland, I picked kind of an upset there. I said Whiteland by 3. Whiteland's got, Ethan Edwards, who's an outstanding senior, and Terre Haute North, very loaded team. They're 20-5. They beat Bloomington South. Good size. Brady Kloffenstein and Cam Fennell and Gavin Wolfley. They're 3 top scorers, all juniors. So those guys will be back next year as well. So again, Terre Haute North looks like a team that could be a team that's even better next year potentially. Then locally in Class 3A, you've got Attucks and Northview playing at Lebanon. You heard from Chris Hawkins too. Talked to him a little bit about that game, and I like Attucks to win that. I said Attucks by 12. And then Guerin Catholic and New Pal. You heard from Julius Gizzi as well. I said New Pal won this handily during the season by 15. I think this one will be closer. I said New Pal by 5. That game 4:00 at Greenfield Central. And then 2A, you've got Western Boone and Wapahani. I wrote about Western Boone earlier this week. I think this would be a huge upset if they pulled it off. Wapahani ranked number 1 in 2A and won they made it to the state finals a year ago. So a lot of confidence there. Pretty interesting, staggering record over the last 3 years for Wapahani, 76-6 over the last 3 seasons. So Matt Luce has really got it going there at Wapahani. Also in 2A, Triton Central and University. And actually, these are games. I'm sorry, I was getting into 2A. I've already covered a lot of the 2A games. So we'll keep this to 3 and 4, but I'll go through the 3 and 4 games. 3A and 4A games around the state also. I had Portage and Crown Point played at Michigan City. I took Crown Point to win that one. I think that'll be a close game. Portage beat them earlier this year pretty handily. I can't imagine that will be not a close game this time around. So I took Crown Point in a close one. South Bend, Washington, you'll have South Bend Riley against Warsaw. And again, I think this will be a good game. Warsaw without Luke Bricker, their main guy or main scorer, top scorer, but they played really well. Even though he didn't have a great weekend at the Hall of Fame, but I was really impressed with some of their other guys too. I did take Warsaw to win that one. I think that has a chance to be a really good game as well. At Logansport, you have Homestead and Fort Wayne Carroll. I took Homestead in that one. Southridge, you have Jeffersonville and Evansville Harrison. Took Jeff to win that by 9. I think they'll get through there. And then in 3A at South Bend, Washington, South Bend St. Joe against Columbia City. That I think potentially Columbia City's been on a really kind of a heater here in the sectional. But St. Joe, I think will win that. I took them by 7. East Chicago Central at Michigan City against Hanover Central. I took East Chicago Central. I think they could pull away in that one. Lapel, Maconaquah, and Marion. I took Maconaquah by 1, sort of an upset pick there. At Newcastle, Delta, and Fort Wayne Blackhawk. I think that'll be a really good game. Mark Detweiler, a really good coach there at Delta. But I took Blackhawk Christian to get through. At Southridge, you have Jennings County and Carter Kent. We'll see what he can do against Princeton. I did take Princeton in that. Princeton 23-2. Jennings County is 12-14, but Jennings County plays a lot of 4A teams on their schedule. They were a 4A team before, so that's kind of the reason for that. But Brownstown Central and Evansville Memorial, the other game, I took Brownstown by 10. So that's all the 3A and 4A games. I already touched on 1A and 2A, so I won't go through all those. You can read all that at indystar.com or watch the video or as well. So appreciate you joining me here, and thanks to my guests for coming on as well. And stay tuned. We'll have a lot more coverage and whatnot at indystar.com on Saturday, out covering some games in some different places. So appreciate you being here and joining me again, and we'll do it next time. Thank you.